Welcome to another edition of Dwight's movie reviews. Going to be doing a review of the movie I just watched called 1408 with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson. Yes, two Samuel L. Jackson movies in one day. I gotta love that guy. So this movie was released in 2007. I was about 17 then, I think. Um, and so pretty much what you have is this hotel called the Dolphin, and you have this paranormal investigator type guy who writes books. Who basically is like a scary book writer. He writes books about certain experiences he's had, but he himself does not believe that any kind of ghost or a specter or God even exists. So he's a big skeptic in this way. And he pretty much is he goes to these places to I mean, like my thought was like, if you don't believe this stuff, then why is this your career? Why do you go to all these places and try to see what it's like and try to do this? And my thought was, well, as an atheist, you probably, and you if you're interested in this, then your main interest is going to be to debunk such paranormal phenomena. Um, so that's my thought. So he tries to check into this hotel called the Dolphin with a room called 1408. That's the number of the room. And apparently there's this large amount of evil attached to this room, and he almost goes to legal action because they wouldn't let him check into the room, and they wouldn't let him rent the room. So he almost takes legal action to get the room rented, but they end up letting him stay in it. So, like, he talks to the manager or the owner of the hotel, who is who is played by Samuel L. Jackson, and the paranormal investigator guy. His name is Mike Enslin. That's John Cusack, and pretty much Samuel L. Jackson tells him, I'll do whatever. I'll upgrade you to a penthouse suite, or I'll get you whatever you want. I'll give you all of these, all the records of these deaths for your book if you won't check into that room, if you will not stay in there, because apparently 56 people have died in there by tons of different ways: drowning, natural causes, hanging yourself, cutting yourself, lots of different ways. And that's why he didn't want anybody to go in that room. But he's very persistent, and the manager even gives him an $800 bottle of scotch, and he takes that into the room. He starts drinking it, and he likes the scotch. He has a cigarette in his ear because he's a writer, and he smokes that if there's ever a emergency, or if there's ever some kind of nuclear fallout or something. So he goes in there, and pretty much this movie is like what I would consider like a psychological thriller. That's what I would consider it to be. It's a horror. It definitely is a horror movie because this is very scary. If you were to be in this position, if you were to ever be in this place. So it's pretty interesting what happens, just because all of the things that he goes through. Also, he is estranged from his wife because they had a daughter named Katie, who apparently was really, really sick and ended up dying. So that's why they're, kind of estranged from each other, until he evidently asks for help from her while he's in there. So he goes in this room as skeptic, and when he does eventually get out, he is no longer a skeptic, pretty much. So he's going through all these places, like, yeah, this is whatever. None of this shit exists. But he goes into room 1408, and he's no longer a skeptic. He believes in this stuff now. So it starts off as a regular room. It's it's an old hotel. It's in New York City. It's pretty much just a normal room. And he was like, "This is it." Like, when he walks in, and then odd things start to happen. The first thing happening is, without him touching the alarm radio, it starts blaring this song, and it blares this song off and on throughout the whole movie. It's an old song. It talks about like new beginnings. A lot of weird things happen, including when he's looking out the window. The windowsill comes down on his hand like this, enters him pretty good, and some other stuff starts happening, and he's just about ready to leave because he's convinced he can't get out. There's no way, So a lot of things begin to happen. The room changes in a variety of ways, including from being really, really hot to being like freezing, and being with snow and water in the room. It's just very supernatural what's happening here. And I don't want to give away too much of what's going on, so I'll probably just stop here. But I think if you like psychological thrillers and horror movies in general, then you will really, really like this. So as for what you're seeing in these scenes and everything, it's pretty cool. It's pretty like what you're seeing is really, really neat. Like, then his daughter, he sees and talks to and touches his daughter during this whole experience. That's pretty convincing. He goes in the vents to see this, and apparently there's this like demonic thing living in the vents above the room. So what you're seeing is pretty neat. Like, with the whole the 100-year-old hotel is pretty cool. So everything is really, really neat in this film, visual wise. Acting, of course, you have John Cusack and you have Samuel L. Jackson. Gonna be great there. With respect to plot, there are some scarier things out there. So I mean, this is not the scariest thing. It's not. It is very suspenseful and is definitely a psychological thriller. Plays with your mind a little bit. Plays with his mind definitely. So it's pretty cool in that way. I'll give as for visual, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 4. There's not a ton of really awesome things to see, but it's still good. It's still a 4. As for acting, definitely a 5. You have good actors here. As for the plot I think is really, really cool. I don't think I've as a horror movie connoisseur, if you will, I've seen a lot of horror films, and a lot of them kind of lumped together. A lot of them are cliched and redone and rehashed. This one is definitely new, not something I've really seen before that's exactly like this. So the plot, definitely a 5. I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie probably between a 4 and 5, probably like a 5, because this is a fantastic movie. Not on my goal list though. I probably could watch this movie once, but I did enjoy watching it. I think it was a great movie, great if you like horror films and psychological thrillers. So I think you should. It's on Hulu right now as we speak. If you have the Showtime extension of Hulu, it's on there. So let me know what you think of the movie 1408, and thank you very much for watching.